And an East Texas school group is taking part in the commemorations in France this morning. The Longview High School Choir was invited to represent the state of Texas in an international memorial service to honor the fallen. The Lobo Choir is spending an entire week in France, getting a first-hand look at this critical battle of World War II, as well as performing on the world stage. And GMET's Luckie is traveling with them every step of the way. He joins us now live from Normandy. Lane, this is indeed a day of deep reflection.
Good morning, Victoria. Right now, these 28 student ambassadors from Longview are getting a lesson unlike anything they'll see in a classroom, a very personal way to understand the consequences of war. They're joining with other American school groups for a deeply moving performance on hallowed ground. Now, this is a tribute ceremony at Brittany American Cemetery. It's the final resting place of 4,404 American service members, most of whom lost their lives in the Normandy and Brittany campaigns of 1944. For the Lobo Choir, this wasn't so much of a performance, but more of a patriotic calling.
Think of how real it actually is until you're actually here. You see the cemetery full of, just a lot of crosses. So, it really hits you when you get here.
It was kind of like a bittersweet moment because I was like, wow, that's a lot of lives. But also I was like, but it was for a good cause. And I'm just so happy that we're here to honor them.
The fallen and military and government representatives from the U.S. and France are here. In fact, President Joe Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and French President Emmanuel Macron are at another ceremony at the Normandy American Cemetery not far from here. Now, the victory on D-Day came at a high cost. Many refer to it as the longest day. But East Texas played an essential role in ensuring an Allied success in the Battle of Normandy. Smith County, of course, was home to a U.S. Army Infantry Replacement Training Center from 1943 to 1945. During the war, more than 200,000 soldiers went through basic here at the 14,000-acre facility between Tyler and Winona. Now, many of Camp Fannon's earliest trainees served in Operation Overlord on D-Day. And at least 20 of them also died here in Normandy. Today, UT Health Northeast occupies much of Camp Fannon's former footprint off of U.S. Highway 271. And that's where you'll also find a beautiful memorial paying tribute to American heroes whose story began back in East Texas. It's a perpetual mission taken on by the Camp Fannon Association.
We've been fortunate to preserve a lot of correspondence from the World War II veterans, the families writing to them at Camp Fannon, them writing to their families back home, relating their experiences. And it's just really meaningful to go through that correspondence and to see that the sacrifices that they made for our country and for liberty and for freedom.
Of course, that is the mission of the Camp Fannon Association. And as we mentioned yesterday, all week we're sharing the stories of East Texas D-Day veterans in their own words. While most are still no longer with us, the greatest generation will certainly influence and inspire future generations.
I have great reverence for that flag. And every day I go outside and I look up and I say, "Good morning, Miss America." I have to salute her.
Of course, that's Gordon Barker of Hideaway in a 2013 interview with now retired KLTV reporter Joan Hallmark. Now, Barker was still a teenager when he enlisted, and he's one of only a handful of service members to be at both the Normandy invasion and the signing of the peace treaty with Japan in World War II. Now, Gordon's story, and of course those of more than 20 other East Texans who served during the Battle of Normandy, are online right now at kltv.com and ktre.com. So up next today, the Lobos actually make a visit to Mont Saint-Michel. It's a tiny tidal island that has a historic abbey there at the very top of the mountain. It was occupied by German soldiers until the liberation of France. And this World Heritage Site is just one of the many cultural treasures that may have been lost if D-Day wasn't successful. Reporting live in Normandy, France, I'm Lane Luckie for Good Morning East Texas. Victoria?
Just chills. Lane, thank you so much for that live report. All right, and our coverage of the 80th anniversary of D-Day doesn't end here. All week, we'll have live reports on air and on our streaming channel, East Texas Now. You can also learn more about East Texas connections to the Battle of Normandy on our websites kltv.com and ktre.com. Just scan this QR code at the bottom of your screen to visit our D-Day in Focus page, or click the tab at the top of our homepage.